Okay, it is 9:45 a.m. I want to see if this can break past 27 or if this bidder at 26 is going to be wiped out. I traded this SYSX because this was like a gap down morning panic bounce play. So you can see the price action was right here the other day. Then it opened super low. It has a panic as well. And then it started to look like it was going to turn around. And the idea is that it was going to make a bottom somewhere, turn around, and then break some kind of resistance level and be a really nice uptrend. So I did buy 4,000 shares at 932, and that was at 266. So 932 was right here, and I got in at 266. And this one was pretty aggravating because I got in at 266. It looked like it had the bottom, it had the max volume and everything, and then it looked like it was going to turn around. And then I got in at 266 because it looked like it was going to try to make a move past 27, and then this 28 level, and then it could be a pretty nice spike to sell into. But unfortunately, this one just kept downtrending because there are just people who are dumping a whole lot of shares at the bid, and it was just looking pretty bad. It did downtrend, and it made like a mini bottom right here at 24, and I figure that if it's going to come back and break under 24 later, I'll definitely cut the trade for sure. Originally, my risk level was it looking like if it was going to break this 24 level, then I'll be getting out, and I'll be getting out worst case scenario in the 23s. Alright, that's a big bidder there at 26. I don't know if this just took it out, but yeah, it did take it out. There were just too many sellers. There were just way too many sellers. It can still work. There were just a lot of sellers. I did sell a portion of my position, 1,000 shares. I was originally going to sell half of my position, but it was a partial fill. I only had 1,000 shares, and then the price action was looking better at 938, so I decided to cancel it. And that was at, yeah, this point right here at 938 is when I sold a piece at 26 right here. And then I did sell the rest of my shares at 944, which was much later. Alright, let's see if this will break under it. 25 was a very important support level throughout this entire move. As you can see way back here, it was holding it. At 944, I did cut the other piece. At 26, even though there was a big 100K seller, as you saw at 26, it just looks like there were way too many sellers dumping their shares. So I'm going to imagine I lost a very tiny amount. Right, it's going to be... I only have 4,000 shares, and I was in at 266. Right, I got out at 26 flat, so I lost like $2. That was nothing, but I do want to see if this thing will work out eventually. It just looks very depressing, and if it does, that's great, but this thing was ugly. I'll continue to look for more setups. I haven't really been looking at anything else because I've been in this setup, but I will make an update. Alright, it is 10:08 and I have just 1,000 shares left. I did trade this again because it looked like a symmetrical triangle and it broke the top part of it. And I'm just looking to see if this thing can break 275. And I've never been in this situation where the symmetrical triangle has continued for so long that now this is like a trend line to base the trade off of. So essentially, if this thing gets to 265 at any point, around that level, I'm going to sell immediately the last 1,000 shares, but ideally we break 275 and it can continue the uptrend, and then I'll try to sell the last 1,000 shares the best that I can, or maybe even divide it into two pieces and sell 500 shares twice. But yeah, this thing has been a ceiling for a really long time, 27.5, and 27 was the other ceiling, and yeah, we'll see. We have the bid exposed at 266 for a brief moment there. We see 278. Let's see if there's any hidden sellers before 278. I guess any tick would bring it past this 275 level. You know, that's above the bid at least. We do have 278. And 275 is continuing to strengthen. Doesn't mean it's going to continue to work. Maybe somebody's going to dump a bunch of shares at the bid, but that's obviously more ideal. This has been very common with SYXX, and I kind of learned to stop looking at it. Sometimes the price action would look super ugly, but if you were to pay attention to the actual size in the timing sales, these are like these little baby 600 share positions, which is absolutely nothing in terms of size. What's more important is what the bigger prints are, if it's a green or a red print. So it's almost bullish when I see like a bunch of red prints, but they're all tiny. That's more significant, something that's, 56,000. I'll make an update as to what this one does. I might consider selling soon. It just depends on how it trades, and I'll make an update later. Okay, you can see we are now pulling the rug. This is my conspiracy theory, and I'll continue to watch this if I ever trade SYXX in the future. When there's little baby 600 prints, that means the price action is bullish, and when they turn into 500 share prints, that means they're going to turn it around, because that was exactly what was happening right around this candle and this candle as it was downtrending. All of the 600 share prints started to go away, and we started to see a bunch of 500 share prints show up, and they definitely pulled it right here. I did sell my last 500 shares at 1017, which was right here, so I must have contributed to the conspiracy right here. And I sold the last 500 shares because it did something actually technical in that it broke the trend line that I was using to base this trade off of. And I did sell the 500 shares before this one, so back when I had 1,000 shares, and I did the last recording at 277, which was at 1011. So this might have been the top right here, my best sell right there. And just to go over it, I did buy 4,000 shares at 955, which was right here when it looked like it was really starting to work an uptrend. Again, right here around this 267 level. And I did sell half of my position at 27 to cut my risk because it was taking a while for it to work out. I thought it was going to be much faster. Right here at 958, I did sell half of my position at 27. And then it did start to work out. Eventually, it broke 27 and got to the 275s, and that was a new top. And that's when I sold 1,000 shares at 273 at 1006, which was right here. Right here at 273, 1006 is when I sold this piece right here. And then again, those last two 500 share sales, and it broke the trend line once again. This was a symmetrical triangle. What the setup ultimately ended up being, my first trade was that gap down warning panic bounce play, and that one didn't really work out too nicely, and I didn't have the best entry in theory, but I think I traded that one pretty well. I think I traded this one pretty well, and this was something that ideally, God willing, in the future, I could trade with not 4,000 shares, so maybe 40,000 shares or 100,000 shares. So I think this was a good step in the right direction, and I like how I saw the last piece of my trade because it actually did something technical. Once again, it broke the trend line. It wasn't just a random sell at the top when, maybe it works out more in the future and it gets much higher. Then I'm like, wow, why did I sell that last piece there? It wasn't even doing anything, technical. So yeah, that's pretty much the case with that. I'll continue to look for more setups. There hasn't been anything that I found really interesting, although I did miss out on this one yesterday. SIMPQ, this one was a pretty impressive runner. I just did not see this one, and I usually check my scanners around 11 a.m. So it wasn't like I was going to be able to see this one anyway, but this was a pretty impressive one. I will make an update later if there's any trades or any setups that I might be interested in. All right, it is 7:42 p.m. and I was going to be up on the day just a little bit because the setups that I traded didn't really work out that much with SYXX. It wasn't horrible, but it didn't offer that much opportunity, and I think I traded according to my dollar risk level. Yes, that was the case. It just didn't really uptrend that much, but it was still a good practice. nonetheless, and something that would be much more profitable if I traded with more size here with SYSX. But I did take a very speculative trade with this one, and this is the one that ran like crazy yesterday that I missed when I called off the video early, and perhaps it was for the better, because I don't know, maybe I would have burnt myself trying to dip buy this on the way down, or maybe I would have been really upset if I saw this thing uptrend and I hesitated on the setup. So I did trade one time here, and there were a few reasons why. SIMPQ, I was long, just a tiny position. It was I traded, it seems like a $8 position, but I still lost on it because it's a very wide spread stock. And yeah, I did buy 50 shares, and that was at 1:58 p.m. So that was right here. I was long right here at 1:58. 50 shares at 24, which was this level right here. And why did I get in? Before I got in, there was a brief moment where 100K bidder flashed at 20 cents. I liked how it made a bottom at 16 cents, and it kind of showed that it was trying to uptrend. And if you might say, oh, okay, well, you know, I had a downtrend here and it got as low as the 25s, but as you can see, it got lower. But this one was different in that it was uptrending, and also it broke this downtrending trend line that it was following throughout the entire day. So when it broke the trend line, I saw 100K bidders flash for a moment, and it was uptrending. I thought there could be a potential that it could try to make a move towards VWAP or maybe even higher, and maybe try to do like a little baby run up after it had this massive uptrend and crash. And this one did not really work out, as in it didn't get to VWAP. It did uptrend a little more, but it didn't help that I was already in at 24. Maybe if I was sneaky, I could have been in right here when it broke past it at 21. And then maybe I could have tried selling for break even, because 24 here was at the ask. It never really uptrended. It never got to VWAP. But yeah, this setup completely failed. And my risk level was this 16-day low breaking, and I did get out when it was at 16.5, way over here at 240 right here. Basically when it started to downtrend and it broke past this trend line, I got out at 16.5, which sucks because it didn't work out. And I still lost $3.75 despite the fact that I traded such a small position, because it does trade with a wide spread. But I think if it would have worked out, it would have been super nice, and it could have been very profitable as well. So that's pretty much it for today. I did have that one red day this week, which is thankfully much smaller than all of my other days, or at least in total, it's not very huge. That's pretty much it for today and this week, and I will make, God willing, a weekly update on Sunday.